Welcome back to the law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker. Your hosts are Greg, Brendan, and Matt, and we have another new client. We pick them up so frequently.
We're
We're
doing well.
we're entering in the realm of family law this particular day with diets and their bastard children. That is our new client, and essentially the concept of getting into this is because I am morbidly obese. And over the centuries that I've been in existence, or at least the decades, I've attempted various different diets and success in various different ways. And now I'm doing this new thing called fasting, which isn't new, obviously. It's been around for millennia because whenever the first caveman left his cave and didn't know what he could eat, he began his fast right there. So there's this.
Unintentional fasting has been around, yes,
Yes.
forever.
I think
It's
that, I
called
think
hunger,
I
Matt.
think
It's
they
called
called it
starvation.
starvation. Right? So,
Yes.
I think the difference between fasting and starvation is that with fasting, you know you can have a meal when you're done.
Yeah.
Versus starvation, you don't know when the meal's coming. But
You
it's
don't have the
always been.
luxury.
I've always felt very. I've never felt the victim of my weight because I know that I'm the one who created it. Whenever I hear people say, "Oh, I just can't lose weight," my general mantra was, if you stop eating, you're going to lose weight, regardless of who you are, regardless of thyroid conditions, regardless of anything involving weird body issues. If you stop eating, you will just lose weight. It's just kind of the nature of the beast. Because for one thing, just moving your body around takes a certain amount of energy, so that will burn the calories that are associated with
But
it.
that's so much harder than actually doing it because eating is so pleasurable. It's very hard. And for some people, it is harder. Like I have a very high metabolism. I've been
Uh-huh.
overweight my whole life. I
Yeah,
should be fatter because
yeah.
I could eat so much. I should have been 600 pounds. But some people, they barely get to eat anything all day and they'll still gain weight. Even they got to have two little meals and it's like they
Well,
don't lose
yeah, I'm
weight.
not saying that it's not hard to
Yeah, it's very hard.
to
That's what
just
it
not
is.
eat. I'm saying is that that will happen though. It's like if you
Oh,
really,
of course.
really wanted to lose weight, that is the way to do it. With the hard thing is essentially having good discipline. That's really what it comes down to. Is like,
Which brings in diets because I think diets often they offer the painless way to lose weight where it's like, oh no, this is like it'll trick your body. You'll get to eat all you want. Or they always like make it seem like it's easier than it should be
who's
because they have
they?
some trick.
What do you
The
mean they?
guys who make diets like, oh, this diet you can eat all the fats you want and you can't eat any bread and you can eat like a pound of cheese every day. And some people can do that. I love cheese. I can, but then they're fatty. I'm sorry, FADD, fatty diets, fattish, and it seems like they always gain the weight back. It's just like kind of like Americans, I think, want to get uh, easy fix without the work. We don't want to work hard and show willpower and do it
Okay.
the hard way.
So,
All right.
so my
I have to stop things for a second. So I'm hearing a dog barking. Is that your dog, Brendan?
yeah, it's my dog.
Okay. All right.
Could you
Well,
beat it with a
does,
stick
does that
for
mean that
us?
your like family just came home or something?
That means there's still a neighbor kid downstairs.
Uh huh.
The wife is on the phone,
Okay.
and the dog will just,
The dog
make
will keep
noise.
barking. Yeah, I know the feeling. I have one here too that barks sometimes when I'm trying to do things. So yeah, I heard like some background talking as well, but I don't think it was Greg this time. I think it's probably like your wife just said talking on the phone. All right,
I have no idea.
I wanted to get an idea. That's the problem with wearing the headphones. Like I pick up all of these external noises far too easily.
I see that. So my
Yeah.
question is,
Yes.
as the fake law firm of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker,
Since we're in
are
family law today.
yeah, are we prosecuting diets? Are we putting diets on trial, or are we defending diets?
Well, I don't know that we're prosecuting or defending. I think what we're doing is we're exploring whether there's a need for either.
I think there's
Because
definitely a need for dieting. Some people you got to lose weight. Some people got to lose weight. It's unhealthy. Like
yeah,
Well,
me,
yeah, yeah.
I
So
should
my
lose weight.
question, my question is, so you brought up, Greg, fad diets, which there's countless of them, and they go through society like at least every 4 or 5 years. Most of them seem to be the same. or similar. Some outliers, like I have a friend who's doing a carnivore diet
Oh yeah,
where I don't know.
that's a very popular one right now.
Yeah, he just eats meat or like roadkill or fucking something.
So he's just like gnawing on possums at the side of the road.
Yeah, that's the Florida man version of the carnivore diet.
It's like dead gators. Ah,
Dead
shall be
gators,
mine.
armadillos, possums. Yeah.
Well, I know there's a couple of doctors advocating the carnivore diet, and I know with the fasting that I'm doing right now, carnivore is one of the things that people are doing whenever they do decide to eat. Now, I'm not doing a diet per se because fasting isn't a diet. It's just deciding when you're going to eat again. And
So so then you're just deciding not to eat and then deciding to eat. That's the
right, it's not like what I'm eating isn't the issue so much. Although I'm trying to keep it more of a lower carb diet whenever I do eat, but for the most part, it's maintaining two particular mantras while I'm doing this, which is one is no snacking. So I eat within a particular prescribed period of time, and then I just don't snack the rest of the time. And then the other one is riding the hunger wave. That's one of the mantras of this particular method that I'm doing, which is the concept which I didn't really realize or think about before I got involved in it, is the idea that hunger doesn't keep building and building and building and building. It has a peak and then it drops. So
mm,
they basically give you methods to distract yourself to get beyond whenever you're hitting a lot of hunger. And so applying those particular methods has actually been weirdly successful for me. I really thought I was going to have a much, much harder time, but generally I'm eating right now one meal a day without any snacking, and it hasn't really been too hard to make it happen. One of the things I do if I get really hungry is I'll drink water. I'll drink seltzer water. I also have like the little vial of Himalayan salt. And so you take a few grains of salt whenever you're feeling hungry, and it tends to diminish the hunger pangs.
have you ever thought of like mixing the salt with just tequila?
Well, tequila, one of the main reasons I'm doing this is because I have diabetes, and so they found that with fasting, it actually can reduce to a large extent your blood sugar. And
Oh,
so that's kind of the main. It wasn't really the fat dealing with, but it was that. But I've got many other different issues going on because of the fat, and so if that works too, then that'll be helpful. But the main thing is try and reverse the diabetes. So in terms of tequila, there's a lot of sugar in tequila, but that tequila is like one of the alcohols that l- lessens the effect of blood sugar being pushed up. In other words, tequila doesn't push it up as much as other alcohols do.
like
So
beer or
yeah,
wine?
Jägermeister.
beer has a lot of sugar in it. I'm not sure about Meister or
That
mustard,
can't be good.
either one, because I was never like a huge fan of Jägermeister anyway.
It's
So
terrible, but it's very
not really
sweet.
into licorice tasting
Yeah.
alcohols.
No.
Like,
So
That what?
my brother-in-law is doing one where he doesn't eat breakfast.
uh-huh.
Like that's really the central key. So it's intermittent fasting. I have no idea, but all I know is that when he was visiting, he was like, "Oh no, I don't eat breakfast."
uh
And I'm like, "Well, it's the most important meal of the day." And he's like, "Ah, that's bullshit." You
Yeah,
know.
he's right. It pretty much is. Um,
I don't. I don't like breakfast. I don't
I'm
care
not
for
a big
breakfast.
breakfast person myself, to be completely
I don't
honest.
get hungry till around like noon or one anyway.
no, there's a
Yeah.
lot of
Weird.
adages that have been thrown into us from various different ideologies regarding food and eating, but in reality, it just comes down to are you getting the nutrition that you need in a particular day, and how do you handle that? So, for me, you mentioned intermittent fasting. Yeah, it started off with intermittent fasting for me, which is I would do have a 6 hour window where I would have a couple of meals in that 6 hour window, and then
Yeah.
fast for I think it was 18 hours. And now I'm down to one meal a day, and I actually want to get to what's called extended fasting, which is doing 36 to 48 hours of fasting.
Mhm.
And because supposedly, and I don't know if it's true, but I've been looking into it further, it's supposed to help the body out even further. Puts you into the thing called ketosis, where the body is using your fat as energy as opposed to glucose and sugar as energy. So that's where that's supposed to be the most effective. But anyway,
So when I
uh,
did a fast, I did a 2 week fast a couple times, actually 15 days, and I couldn't eat anything.
so how
But
did
I
you handle the hunger when you were doing it for
Well,
14
it's
days?
weird. After the second day, is it wasn't even a willpower thing. I have no willpower at all. That's why I'm fat and I smoke too much. I just like my pleasures and I can't say no. But I didn't care. It's almost like food became irrelevant after a couple of days, and it wasn't even the struggle. And I'd see someone eating, and I wouldn't be like, "Oh my god, that looks so good. I wish I could do that." I'd just be like, "What is that guy doing? I forgot. What is that thing?
Is that called
Eating?
eat it? Well,
Putting food in your mouth?"
you suddenly became the Little Mermaid. You go,
Yeah.
what's the thing that you walk on feet? How do they use that? A fork? What are they doing?
Why?
Eating?
Why is that person putting organic material into their mouth and chewing and swallowing? I don't understand anymore. But
They're like
it was
hands
no
and knees on
eating.
their front lawn, just chewing away.
But I can imagine I was doing caloric intake. It was the thing they called the lemonade fast, where I'd make this almost like glucose solution of pure maple syrup, lemon juice, or just squeeze lemons into water, and cayenne pepper for some reason. I think to keep your
Yeah,
metabolism up. And
my
I was
wife
just
did
stuck
that.
on that. Yeah, I would
Well,
stuck on it all day, and sometimes I would feel dizzy and lightheaded, and my fingers would tingle,
yeah,
and I
that
just
that
suck
diet
down some.
actually came out in 1941. The one you're
Really?
talking about, yeah, it was
Yeah, I
to
did it in the
eliminate
90s.
cravings for junk food, alcohol, tobacco, and drugs, and it was a mixture of lemon or lime juice, maple syrup, water, and cayenne pepper. But it was supposed to be 6 times a day for at least 10 days.
Well, I drink it constantly. I would just have it near myself. Anytime I felt dizzy, I just slurped some down.
Uh,
But I didn't eat one thing for, didn't chew anything, I guess I should say. I was technically eating. I was having caloric intake.
uh,
But it was amazing the energy I had during it. Like pure strength was diminished. If I had to lift a bass amp when we were on tour, it was harder and I could feel my limbs shaking almost.
so
But
you
as
were
far
like
as
became a tiny little man at that point.
I wasn't, it was weird. In 2 weeks, I did lose like 20 pounds, which probably isn't healthy. I
Uh,
lost a lot of weight really quick, but my energy level was so high. And the amazing thing, which I wanted to share with you guys today when I found out about our client, is you basically stop excreting after a couple of days. You got nothing left to poop, right?
yeah.
But on the sixth or seventh day of these fasts, because I did like 5 of them over the years, is you have this mysterious phantom poop where I don't know where it comes from because you haven't eaten in 5 days. I guess it's some shit that's been in your colon for years.
Literally.
And when you have that solid poop, the first solid poop you've had in days, you feel so fucking good. It's almost like this euphoria just rushes through every cell in your body. It's amazing. It's really weird.
Wow.
It sounds like
Yeah,
a good one.
It was a good poop.
And this
it was.
happened every time you did 2 week
Yeah,
fast.
like the fifth, sixth, seventh day, like way after the last time I had a solid poop. Because sometimes it's kind of gross, but you actually just poop kind of like watery. It's
Yeah.
almost like diarrhea. I mean, every time you do poop a little, barely though. You poop like every 2 days. And it's just this kind of diarrhea comes out. And then you have this, and it was a real solid poop. It's solid. And you're like, how the fuck was that in my colon all these years? Or who knows how long it was in there.
It was just some poop paste that you had building up inside.
Yeah, but it was it
And
was
then it
almost
became
worth the whole 2 weeks.
like a ball of clay within you.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Essentially, it's just from all that Play-Doh you ate as a child.
It could have been. It's
It's
probably
just
meat,
backed
though,
up.
to be honest. All the pork I've eaten and steak.
Well, I came across this interesting article. It's called "The Long, Strange History of Dieting Fads." And whenever you were talking about yours, I remembered that it was in that article, and I had it handy. But apparently, going back to a book, or probably the first diet book ever published, from William Banting, A Letter on Corpulence. He begins the book with this quote: "Of all the parasites that affect humanity, I do not know of, nor can I imagine, any more distressing than that of obesity." Which
What
is
year was this
interesting.
written?
This is 1864.
Hmm.
Because apparently he was eating a lot of bread and potatoes and sugar and what have you, and then he changed it by eating mostly meat, fish, and vegetables. So maybe that was like the first fad diet. But apparently back in 1028 with William the Conqueror, he became really overweight. Then he went on a liquid diet that consisted of almost nothing but alcohol. And so apparently, Greg, if you just get rid of all your food and just drink booze, you can be like William the Conqueror.
That's what I've been doing. I've been trying.
You'll
I've
be
been doing my
dead.
best.
You'll be dead at 10 years in the past. I don't know
I
when
gotta
William the
say though,
Conqueror died, but I bet he didn't make it to 50.
No, what happened was he lost so much weight he could keep riding his horse, but then he had a riding accident that led to his untimely death. So, there's that
hmm,
that trade-off. You finally get to do the thing that makes you happy, but then it kills you. So if you're
I
like,
lost all this weight, and so I went rock climbing and fell off a cliff.
right, yeah, you go up onto a volcano and you fall into the volcano because you're finally had enough energy and lack of weight so you can make it
so
up
you're
that. Your
you're
knees
saying
are better.
don't lose weight ever. That's the moral of the story.
The moral of the
Don't
story:
try to lose weight.
stay
Stay
obese.
fat forever.
Deal with the other
So Matt,
issues. Yeah.
is it, so you said that the primary reason for what you're doing is diabetes. So you're not really looking like getting on the scale and measuring yourself and plotting that, or are you doing that as well?
No, I'm not doing that. For one of the main reasons I'm not weighing myself is because no scales go up as high as my freaking weight, except like the industrial scales they have at meatpacking plants and at my doctor's office. So I haven't. I'm gonna. The last visit from my doctor's when I started looking, I found out about the fasting thing by accident. I was just flipping through stuff on YouTube, and I was like, all right, this guy's kind of making some weird kind of sense because it goes along with my concept of if you want to lose weight, don't eat. But then he goes into more detail about how it affects diabetes. And I went, oh, okay, well, this is more of what I'm interested in. And I realized I really need to do something because before I used to say I'm the healthiest fat man people would know, but then my blood sugar, well, not my blood sugar, my blood pressure went up and my cholesterol level was up, and I'm like, okay, obviously that theory no longer applies. I'm no longer the healthiest fat person I
Just like I'm
know.
the highest
I'm
functioning
now
alcoholic
like
I know.
every other goddamn morbidly obese dumbass who let himself get to this particular situation because he really enjoyed food and hated exercising. So,
Right.
so anyway, I
Me
thought
too.
I'd check into it, and there was so many different theories. I just went to the guy who's been espousing this theory since about
What about the
2015.
theory? Right. What about the theory? And I've read this or heard this that if you uh, don't feed your body
Uh-huh.
like for extended periods of time,
Right.
that the body reacts by thinking, "Oh God, we're gonna die," and holds on to fat. I mean, I'm sure I've read that. Did
Yeah, your metabolism lowers. I hear
right?
because of that.
Well, I haven't done the extended fast at all, and I haven't really looked into the research that much. I'm basically just getting myself used to the one a day thing, which actually it was able to maintain throughout the vacation I was on. And so I was going to wait till I got back home and got settled again to start trying the extended fasts.
Yeah.
So that theory, I don't know if that applies, but they've been using patients on this method for at least I think 10 years now. This particular doctor out of Canada, his name's Dr. Edward Fung, and people get the
Oh.
most benefit out of the 36 to 48-hour fasting of any of the fasts that people do. Like that's when your body starts to switch things around. But the basic concept is this: your body operates for the most part off of sugar, carbs. Carbs basically turn into sugar in your system after you eat them.
Yeah.
That turns into something called glycogen in your liver. And what happens is the body uses the glycogen as the energy source. And so every time you eat something, it goes into that area. You don't get into the fat burning. So you have to burn off the glycogen before the body will start using fat as energy. And once it gets through the fat, it'll start actually taking fat from the excess fat stores. It'll start taking fat from your skin. So in this case, with fasting, people who got those big body folds of skin that are left over after doing like heavy exercise or doing other different forms of dieting, where they have like floppy arms and stuff, the
Mm.
fasting actually handles that. You don't get those particular skin
Wow.
folds from the fasting if you do the extended fast because the body will start using the fat stores from the skin and shrinks the skin.
That's
There's
that's
also the argument.
fascinating. But
Okay.
I think where I'm headed
Yes.
is that I want to replace my heart with a second liver so I can drink more and care less.
I think the problem with replacing your heart with a liver will be the lack of blood flow.
Yeah, the liver doesn't really help with the blood flow.
Yeah, I think what will happen is you'll get extra clean blood that's left, but the blood won't actually get through your liver. So whatever's stuck in your liver after the removal of the heart, that'll be really clean because it'll keep getting clean over and over again, but there'll be nothing to push the blood around in your body
You didn't
when
really
the
think
heart
this
is
through,
gone.
did you, Brendan? Huh?
Yeah,
You didn't really
Brendan,
think it through.
you could have replaced it with a gallbladder, had the same bad effect.
Yeah, but then there's the drinking part, you know?
Yeah, there's the gall part.
Yeah, you get more drinking, you'll die happy. With
Maybe
bad
if you
blood.
just add an extra liver to your current liver, like have that stapled to it.
Yeah.
I think you need room in there. I think you
No,
got to find some room.
if
Liver's
you get-
kind of a big thing.
Yeah, but if you get rid of like all the extra fat and stuff, or get rid of a lung, get rid of one of the
Appendix.
lungs, put a liver up where that lung is, or a kidney. You know, because we found a lot of people can live without one lung, and
Isn't the appendix vestigial? You don't even need your appendix.
it's there to send you to the hospital. I think that's what its purpose is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So get
but
rid of that. Put in a
It's
liver.
teeny. It's
You
teeny.
get a tiny little
Oh.
liver. You can like put in a chicken liver then in that case,
Chicken
as
liver's
opposed
not
to
gonna
Yum.
help me.
a full human liver.
Did
get
you
like
also hear the theory
or a
that
frog liver?
did you also hear the theory that if you fast really strictly, like starvation, it doesn't just attack your fat, unfortunately. You think it would. It also attacks like the walls of your heart and muscle tissue. I've heard this
Well,
theory.
it
I don't know if
doesn't.
it's
It doesn't go to the muscle tissue until it exhausts every other fat store that's out there.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Yeah, which
My
is why
dad-
people will lose it from their skin because the fat is within the skin.
Okay.
But also, if you're getting to that stage, you need to eat something. So that's
Mhm.
when, if it's finally the case, the main thing this doctor recommends, he's like, listen, if you're not feeling well, break the fast, eat something. He's like, I'm not making any money off the people not eating anything. Like, eat something,
Yeah.
whatever you want to eat, but eat something if you're not feeling well. I'm like, oh, that's like stupid common sense stuff. This guy is
So
probably
in your one meal a day,
yeah.
what are you eating?
Pretty much whatever I kind of feel like eating, but I'm trying to kind of keep it low carb. But it's been varying because of the whole vacation thing, so I'm trying to get back into
Yeah,
it.
sure.
But basically, what I had yesterday, I had this really good beef jerky I bought in Redmond, Oregon, on the way back home, and they had it was like this butcher shop where they made their own. It was like the beef jerky was about a foot long and slightly thick, and so it was and it they seasoned it really well, so it was really good. And like some cheeses that were in a bag with some other sliced meats that they had.
Beef
So,
jerky and salt might not be the best in terms of high blood pressure, yeah?
and well, that's the thing is I'm not too concerned about. I'm not overdoing salt.
Oh, okay.
It's not really salt that's affecting me so much as the excess weight is what's really doing it, putting that kind
I
of
see.
pressure on me. So, Greg, you said you were going to mute whenever you're going to make weird noises. So you're over there.
I made a noise. I don't think I made any noise.
It's funny the way his head looks right now. It looks like the top part of Zippy the Pinhead.
Google,
I kept
gobble,
thinking of
Google,
Ernie from
gobble.
Bert and Ernie, but Zippy the
Yes.
Pinhead is way more accurate.
Oh, actually, Bert works too because he's got that little tuft of hair on the top of his head, and it's kind of coming to a peak as well. So it's like your head is actually pointed, Greg. I never noticed that before.
It's just the angle.
Yeah,
Maybe it's the angle, but it was an awesome visual to start with. It's like oh, it's going to his point. It's Greg the Pinhead. And,
I've been called that.
I had promised to be nicer to you, so I need to work on that. So I apologize
I
for.
don't mind looking like Zippy. He's a handsome
Okay.
pinhead. He's a very good looking
As
pinhead.
pinheads go,
Yeah,
he's the more
quite
handsome of the pinheads. So how many pinheads do you possibly know?
Oh, a lot. I know a lot of circus folk. Dog-faced boys.
Really?
Yeah.
You have like good friends who are circus folk?
Yeah, I'm a carny type. I'm
Well,
a low life.
Carney and circuses are a little bit different. Slightly.
Yeah, all my friends are like low lives like that. Hang out with a lot of guys who wrestle gators and
You're
Florida.
about to like destroy our entire Carney listenership by
I
saying
was going to say
Oh,
that,
that was a
Yes.
little classist of me. I'm sorry, carnies.
Yes.
I apologize, carnies.
if you come to Florida, I can take you to the town, which is about 2 hours south of where I am, which is where Barnum and Bailey Circus housed all the freaks.
My friends live there.
Oh,
They
really?
live in that town. Yeah, they said all around them are all these museums and
the friends you were
circus things.
talking about that are the the dog
No,
facing
these aren't
folk.
the carny folk. This is the upper higher class of people.
Oh,
They're
but
caterers.
but they live there
Yes, now they do,
and
and
they
it's
cater to
outside of
those people.
Saratoga. Apparently, is like the center of all. They don't retire there, right? Right, Brendan?
Now there's a little town. It's a little town, and it's got an odd name. It's not Saratoga. It's something odd. I
Yeah,
forget.
it's outside of Saratoga.
Yeah, it's outside. Yeah, and that is specifically like there was an X-Files episode that took place in the town, which is a great X-Files episode if you're into that show. And then second, they have this like town hall where they have like pictures of like, you know, Lobster Boy and the Bearded Lady and Dog Kid and all that kind of stuff, like up like, you know, founding fathers of the city.
So, dog kid was the founding father. It's like part dog, part goat.
Part kid, part dog, part I have no idea.
He was the
Bearded
first
Lady.
alderman of this town. He was an
Yeah.
alderman.
Dog kid. So that's where the pinheads live. So basically, what he's saying, Greg, is that you could live there as a pinhead, do well, but also, you know, he's giving you the other invitation for you to get as many guns as you want from a previous episode, where
Oh
he said,
yeah,
come to Florida, I'll
there's a
get you guns.
there's a lot of advantages of living in Florida.
And then if you have guns while you're amongst these circus folk, then you can even do target
I
practice.
could rule them.
You
I could have a legion of freaks at my command.
Did you say an allegiance to freaks?
A legion,
A legion of freaks.
yes, who would bow down before my gun.
What would you have them
They
do?
all have guns too, man.
Ah, damn.
Yeah, but he would have the one gun to rule them all. One
Yes.
gun to bind them. One
Okay.
gun in the darkness. Something or other. Whatever the freaking rhyme is.
Don't
But-
mess with Lobster Boy.
So, Greg, what would you do if you had like a town of freaks to do your bidding? What would you have them do for you?
I'd send them off to murder my enemies, probably first of all.
Is that me? What are you talking about?
Sometimes, man, it's the way you talk to me. So maybe you should think that twice.
Before you move to Florida and run the freaks? Send them
I-
after me to kill me?
Maybe if depends on how nice you are.
I've always been nice to you. I just want to make that
Yes.
clear.
He has
Brendan's
defended
not
you
on the-
often.
On the hit list yet.
Right.
Yet.
He could rule them with you.
Yes.
You know, arm in arm, you would both be the leaders of the freak town. But
I've
what
always
would,
felt like a freak myself, an inner freak.
right, that's how you could rule them. You would appear to be one of them. But
Yeah.
again, okay, so you have them go and kill your enemies. How long is that list of enemies you have, Greg?
It's quite a lot at this point. I mean,
Yeah.
I've lived a while. I'm 52, and
Yes.
I've made a lot of enemies in my time.
What has
Believe
made
me.
these what has made these people your enemies? What have you done, or what have they done for you to consider?
Usual jealousy. A lot of people are jealous of my success in life. I'm a very successful hamburger flipper at a restaurant.
Okay, I can see the jealousy there,
Yeah,
I
and
get
so
it totally.
especially
Yeah.
if they're morbidly obese.
I've risen to the top of my field, and so a lot of people want to tear you down. You know how it is when you're at the top of the mountain. Everyone
How
wants
many
to tear you
burgers
down.
can you flip in an hour?
Oh, I've never counted, but millions. Probably millions at least.
You
I don't know how many.
Millions in an hour.
I said I'm good, man. I'm not shitting you.
All right,
I'm
so
quite
in
good at
5 minutes, then, in a 5 minute span of time, I want to see how your
Yeah.
math works. In a 5 minute span of time, how many burgers could you flip in 5 minutes?
It's 1,000 at least.
1,000. How would that get you to millions by the
I was
end
going to
of
say
the
they
hour?
got to be closer to about 100,000.
I think we've learned why he is a burger flipper.
150.
Dude,
No,
it's
you guys-
horrible.
you don't get it.
You're horrible at math.
After
Oh,
a while, you get into a groove, and then you get faster and faster.
It's logarithmic, you mean?
Yeah.
It's like
just
multiply
keeps
it by
getting-
10 each time.
You can't even see my hands. It's like a hummingbird's wings.
It's like if you
After
got
a
a
while.
penny and then doubled it and then doubled it and then doubled it again.
Compound
It'd be like
burgers. Yes, it's compound
compound.
burger flipping.
And you're at the top of the field, obviously. So we would have heard
Yeah.
about you in some world record thing, I would say.
I would also like it would be fun for them to perform for me. You know,
Uh-huh.
I'd have, hey, sword swallower, can you suck this down your throat? Hand him some crazy thing, baseball bat.
Some crazy thing. Yeah, baseball bat. No one's heard of those.
I know, but to swallow, that's hard. So it'd be entertaining.
Yes. It's like
I don't know.
a whole tree, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, A bush, an oleander bush.
I went there and I came away just wanting to really take a shower and contemplate how fucked up humanity was.
But they just
But that's
look
me.
different than us. They're not dirty.
Well, maybe they were. Maybe he hung out
No,
with the dirty
no,
ones.
no. It wasn't that they were dirty. It's that they were exploited in this sort of weird fashion.
Oh yeah.
And now there's a whole monument to their exploitation. It'd be like, I don't know, going to a town where they just really celebrated slavery and like had, you know, pictures of people being whipped or something. And it was supposed to be kind of fun, not like introspective and you at the end you're emotionally wrecked and you cry. But like you're like, wow, look at that! Wow, that's pretty fun. I don't know. I just
Sucks to be you, lobster boy. Ha ha.
So, what did you see there, Brendan, that caused this emotional reaction with you? I mean, I don't know this place, and I don't really understand how.
Well, this gets into a real Florida sounding story, but I'll be brief.
That's what you're here for, is the Florida stories.
So,
and this is family law, so it all makes sense.
Yeah. So one summer, for extra money, we decided to sell as a family and as a part of a fundraiser to sell fireworks.
Okay.
So you have to go to the fireworks depot to get your fireworks from the fireworks wholesaler supply or whatever. And it just so happened that the closest, for whatever reason, that whatever firework organization we were involved with, the closest place to go pick up fireworks was the Freak Town. So here I am.
And it's not called Freaktown, though. It's called something.
No, I forget what it's called. It's got a real name.
Freakville.
Yeah. So I ended up driving this U-Haul truck. I'm already pretty Florida with my two kids who were at that time like maybe 11 and 13 down to this Freaktown place to pick up the fireworks. I didn't realize where I was going until I walked into the place where we're all supposed to line up, and then they call your name and then you sign off and you put your stuff in the truck and all that. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, where am I? And the place, the building has no air conditioning. It's late June in Florida, which means it's god awful.
Miserable, right? Yeah.
Miserable.
Yeah.
My kids and I are just sweating, and I'm looking around, and all of a sudden my eye catches the pictures on the wall, and my daughter goes, "Dad, what's wrong with those people?" And I'm like, I don't know. And then we had this whole conversation about it, and then I feel bad because it was kind of like, well, maybe this is, you know, I'm treading on some sort of ethnic pride thing, so I just shut up, and then I took my fireworks and I got the hell out of there.
So this was in the town, but in the fireworks place, they had pictures of these people.
You picked up your fireworks place from the community hall, which was like the main community center in downtown.
That's where everybody goes to hang out on weekends.
Yeah, downtown.
Yeah, they probably pay Lobster Boy Bingo, maybe. I have no idea.
Right, Pinhead Karaoke.
Pinhead Karaoke.
There is the other side of the freak argument where they, like, back then they couldn't have any other job. So a lot of those freaks, they knew they were being exploited, but they were like, when they got rid of the freak shows due to people's concerns that it was exploitative, they weren't happy. I've read books by these people, you know, about these people, and they were like, this is the only place we could have gotten money. Nobody's going to hire us to be a waiter. We're too ugly and weird looking. People wouldn't hire us. So it was kind of a weird thing where they were being exploited. It was basically preying on man's cruelest impulses because, look at that. You know, that guy's a freak. Ha ha. But they needed that job. That was the only way they could get a living, make a living.
That's how people work in radio.
That's a good point. I mean, maybe it was just my non-freak guilt.
Yeah, but it is true. It is a horrible thing in a way that, like, people used to pay to just
non-freak
people.
Privilege, I think.
Yes,
non-freak privilege. I'm non-freak privilege.
I'm freak free.
Well, I identify as a freak, so.
So you self-identify as a freak, so you'll be moving there. I guess it depends upon your definition of freak. Is like, what is freak a bad word? I mean, I guess it depends if you're using it as a pejorative statement or.
What about a super freak? That sounds pretty good.
That's funky. I think that's
that sounds fun. I want to be
super
a super freak.
The weird
super
thing is though, with Brendan's backdrop of the burgers and the fries and things like that, I kept envisioning these people as the burgers and fries that he was talking about behind him. Like those are the pictures of the freaks. Like I could see the image of people within it, like a weird fast food Rorschach test. You
Dude,
know?
you're so hungry right now. You're like one of those little cartoon characters on the desert island where he sees his buddy as a hot dog and he sees his other buddy as a hamburger.
Honestly, I'm not actually hungry right now. I was hungry about 5 minutes ago, but at the moment I'm not hungry because,
We're
one of the
distracting
things
you.
is, right, the distraction causes, it lets the hunger go away, if you don't pay
Hmm.
attention. And apparently it's actually eating that's the addictive thing. When you start eating, then you want to eat more, right?
Yeah,
But if once you
totally.
stop it and decide you're not having any more, then it's a lot easier to handle. It's like while you're eating, it's the harder part. So I have found myself doing more gorging during this, where I've like let my discipline go out. But I think a large part of that I was justifying it by being on vacation, so that I would have the reason to, I'm on vacation, I can do these things.
Yeah.
Now you find these weird justifications to be morbidly obese, and I have
You know what's
lots.
another interesting thing about fasting is I had so much free time. Just the idea of thinking where you're going to go out to eat or what you're going to cook, doing the
Yeah.
dishes when you're done. It seemed like every day I had an extra 2 or 3 hours, like more to do whatever the fuck I wanted. It was just,
Yeah, I made like a list of projects so that I could like start working on things during like when the hunger pangs hit. It's something to
yeah.
do to distract you from that. So I started like clearing things out in my office and finally handing stuff that is in boxes, even though we've lived in the house for 3 years that we're not moving from. But we still have stupid shit in boxes, which makes no damn sense. Something I've been trying to figure out is like, why is that the case? Why would you keep stuff in boxes if you're not planning on moving? Either
Hmm.
get rid of it or find a place for it and get rid of the frickin' boxes. I think it's this old habit of having moved often in my life where I've always think that I need to have stuff put aside. Anyway, hey Greg, you're making a lot of weird noises right now.
Oh my God. It's so quiet. I thought I was being.
Well, you were, but
Here
you
comes
can hear,
Kilroy
you can hear
peering up.
his Zippy's back. We just see his eyebrows coming.
Oh, there he is. Hello.
We got to get this on YouTube.
Right. Like the tuft of hair is slowly coming into the visual screen. Sorry for all of you listeners, you're not getting the full impact. If anybody really wants us to start putting things on YouTube, it's okay to email us if you want or post to Twitter. It's qsblawoffices@gmail.com. That is our email address. If anybody's actually listening to the show, I don't know that anybody really is besides us. And I question the two of you. I know that I listen to it just because I edit the thing afterwards, so I know that I hear it at least once afterwards.
I
But
listened to it once.
Me
once,
too.
okay, all right.
Yeah, usually Thursday or Friday, like after everybody's gone to bed. And I put in my headphones and I listen to it just to think about like how the show went,
Yeah,
how could it have been better. But I only
right.
listened once. So if we're
You-
only listening once, 27 of our 30 listeners are not us.
Well, I found what that number is actually the listeners you have for that most recent episode. So that's where that listenership comes from. So it'll vary from episode to episode.
So if somebody listens to episode, say 5,
Uh,
and then tunes back in for episode 9, they count at 5 and at 9.
yeah, I think they're counted as extra listeners.
It's
Per
not a
se.
cumulative
Right. The only thing that's
statistic.
cumulative is the number of plays for each episode.
Right.
That's
Okay. That
cumulative.
makes sense.
Yeah, but listenership, from what I've been told about the Anchor way, that's what happens. Anyway, so we've gone off on a tangent. I don't know why that happens. How does that happen? But we're dealing with
Diets.
diets and their bastard children. So I was thinking the fasting thing was more of like the bastard children, and then you have like the weird diets that people come up with. For apparently in 1558, there was an Italian nobleman, Luigi Cornaro, who restricted himself daily to 12 ounces of food and 14 ounces of wine. And that's all that he
Mm-hmm.
had every day. And 12 ounces of food, what's that? That's like
3/4 of a pound.
two
So like,
quarter pounders, maybe?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a
yeah,
good sized hamburger.
Yeah, 14 ounces of wine. But the rumor is that he lived to the age of 102.
You know, the people who were in the biosphere, they were part of that belief that doing the 1,000 calories a day,
Uh huh.
it makes you live longer because eating, the process of digestion, is
Yeah.
like it's wearing out your engine. It's a big part of
Perhaps.
your body. It's a lot of work. So the less you eat, the longer you'll live. It's a theory that's out there. A lot of people
Perhaps.
subscribe to it.
I get into weird concepts when I start thinking about age and things that are supposed to make you live longer. I'm like, well, what's the oldest somebody has gotten? Let's say at the high end, 125, maybe.
Yeah,
You know,
Maybe.
somewhere around there.
and then like that, I think is not correct. But I'm just saying, at a high end, I don't think anybody's gotten over the age of 125. Maybe they have. But what kind of life is that from 100 to 125?
Well, if you're
No,
still sharp, if you still got your wits
no,
around you,
If
yeah,
you
this
still
goes
have those,
right. This is something I've discussed, and not to be morbid, but do I really want to live that long? Like
yeah,
where I can't keep, on basic body function start to. I've told both of my boys very seriously, if you have to wipe my ass and I'm wearing a diaper, I want you to just, you know,
make you wipe it
pillow me,
yourself.
pillow me like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
you
Just
say that now. You
oh
say that
no,
now, but
I
I don't
will.
know if you're going to feel that way.
Oh, I will. Oh no, I'm committed to
Yeah.
this. I have no desire to have somebody else wiping my ass just so I can live another 5 years in some decrepit state.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
The thing is, too, those guys who live to be 125, they get to have a pretty decent life up to 99, maybe. And so they're just
Maybe,
extending a
maybe
good
they
part of
do, or
their.
they just
No, that's
live
true. True,
decrepitly
yeah.
that entire time.
Miserably from the time they're 60. That's true.
Well,
But
the thing about it though is if you have friends or kids and you live to 120, or let's just say 110, because that has happened certainly plenty of times. So generally, your kids are about 20 years younger than you. You're living to 100, your kid's 80. You probably outlive all of your kids. Your
yeah.
grandkids aren't going to really want to have anything to do with you, probably, and they're going to be like in their 40s and
Yeah,
50s.
they're already arthritic and old.
We got to deal with the frickin' grandfather who's like 100 years old. And many good families they do take care of those people. I've seen that happen, but in general,
Sure.
all of your friends are probably dead by then. And what new friends are you going to get? It's not like you're going to make them playing frickin' skee ball at a local, you know, arcade.
Is that the only way to make friends?
It is.
You can meet friends at the book readings and book burnings, various things
The
that elderly
book
people can
burnings.
enjoy.
Elderly
Elderly people
people,
can enjoy.
after they do a good hard day's skee ball, they go out
They,
book burning.
they have the strength to do that, to throw a few books on the pyre. That's what they're into. And you can meet people. You can talk about how much you hate that book, and you become friends.
I don't
You
know.
pally with them.
Pally.
Pally.
Friends. Like,
Fair enough, but you think it's like you get to a certain age, you get that old, the body just starts falling apart. So now somebody's got to like take care of you. You've got full time nurse. You're a burden on society at that point.
yeah, I guess there's something to be said about those ice floes back in the day.
Yeah,
You haven't heard those stories where the Eskimos would send the elderly out on ice floes whenever they got to a certain age so they wouldn't have to deal with them anymore?
yeah.
It's got to be a nicer way to bump them off. That seems pretty cruel.
Well, it's only
No,
cruel till they're out of sight.
no. If you think about it,
And then they're like, you can't see them anymore.
you think about it, one of the probably better ways to die is hypothermia. You get out there on the ice floe and your body just starts shutting down and you just want to go to sleep
Well, you just
and
throw
then
them in the water then.
and then you're dead.
Yeah. I hate
But they
being
might live
cold,
long
though.
enough to drown, and I hear drowning is pretty bad.
Yeah.
But the
It's painful.
hypothermia might set in before you drown if you're in the cold water.
Possibly. But if you just leave them out sitting on a thing of ice, then they're not drowning.
Yeah. I suppose that's one way. I think there should be more creative ways for people to like off themselves, though, in terms of if you're getting that age, like you can get shot out in a rocket or something, like shot into space.
Oh, that would be fun.
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Death
You
Race
know,
2000, bring that back.
Death Race
You have to
2000.
run away from cars. Chasing
It'd be
after
more
you.
like a video game. There'd be too many kids too into that. They'd be putting people who aren't ready to go.
Yeah, I'm only
that.
49. For God's sake.
What are you doing?
Yeah, we don't need Logan's Run. Particularly.
It's like,
That was 30, I think, right?
yeah, I
Yeah,
think it was
I think
like
it
you
was
turned
30.
30, then they killed you.
Yeah.
Logan's
If
Run.
this was Logan's Run, I'd be Soylent Green by now.
You're like combining movies.
Yeah, sorry, that's an old joke.
It's like
But
what do you mean?
if this was
It's
Logan's Run, I'd be
yeah.
Soylent Green by now because I'm over 30.
Why is that an old joke?
Well, because I saw it on an old TV show years ago. I didn't make it up.
Oh, okay. I thought it was.
I'm not that clever. I thought I was clever,
didn't
but you
realize
guys
it
didn't.
something that I was thinking if you combine the two movies, it would be quite fascinating. If you threw in like Logan's Run, Soylent Green, maybe
They eat all the people.
I Am Legend as well. You know, all three of them.
It'll be like an MCU 70 sci-fi shared universe.
So that's another
Marvel.
diet. That's another diet thing. It's funny you should bring up Soylent Green because there is some company, I swear to God, called Soylent,
There is.
and they sell some kind of like bullshit shake thing, and it's like the complete meal, and it's all you need to eat, and you just eat this fucking shake, and what the
Is it
hell?
green?
So is it
Is
like
it green?
Is it crunchy shake?
It was bones.
No, it's
Hey,
like
there's a pinky bone in mine.
it's some powder bullshit, and you spin it up and drink it with water and kosher salt. I fucking know.
Yum.
Is the water kosher?
I just thought the audacity of these fucking
Yeah.
punks to call it Soylent. Really?
Yeah.
Well, isn't there like a brand of milk somewhere called like Molico, like out of Clockwork Orange?
Oh. Yeah,
Well, that would be kind of cool. See, that's different.
The milk bar.
Right.
The milk bar and all that shit. That's kind of got some kind of. But
Because
hey,
the milk had like acid in it or something. I can't remember what was in it in the book.
yeah, it was like mescaline, I think.
Mescaline milk. Mm.
Which, if you've done either one or both, I would stay away from the mescaline. That's just me.
Well, I'm lactose intolerant.
I've eaten
so
the worm at the bottle of the bottom of a bottle of a mezcal, but I didn't really get anything out of it. It was just
No, I'm talking peyote. I'm talking mescaline and the mushrooms and that whole thing.
the buttons.
Yeah,
Did you ever do peyote, Brendan? Are you allowed to say that if you have?
yeah.
What
I
did it
did.
do? What did it do to you?
It's fucking awful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I heard it's like the best hallucinations you could possibly get is from peyote.
Yeah, but it's like a slow, kind of fucked up sort of thing. At least the time I did it.
Didn't you get like some spiritual awakening from it, like all the Native Americans
No,
Did you?
say?
You didn't talk to the coyote god?
no,
You didn't find your
No.
spirit animal.
no.
No.
Now, if you had a
Wanted to-
spirit animal, what do you think your spirit animal would be?
Spent a lot of time wanting to throw up, mostly.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, so imagine hallucinating and being nauseous.
So basically, your spirit animal would be a cat with a fur ball.
Yeah,
Yes.
there you go.
Or velociraptor.
Do they
They're a
do that?
velociraptor.
They
Velociraptors
puke
do a
up
lot of-
acid on you. Remember that? They puke it. They spit like this bile onto people's faces and it burns
I
them.
don't remember that. I wasn't around in the days of Jurassic-ness.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
the Paleozoic period either.
Well, they made a documentary about it.
Did it? Was it called Jurassic Park?
Jurassic
Was that
Park, yes.
documentary? Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, that incredibly horrible joke was coming.
I thought it was.
Jurassic Park is a documentary. So what would your spirit animal be, Greg, if you were to have one?
It's like a
Not to put you on the
manatee.
spot. Manatee? Okay.
Yeah.
The sea
Another
cow?
Florida reference.
Yeah, sea cow. Something very unattractive, and where you're like, why did nature even make that creature? How does it survive?
It can be quite
What's its
majestic in its
purpose?
natural habitat.
Yeah, majestic.
The majestic manatee.
I have swam with manatees.
Yeah.
Wow.
It makes you wonder if people who are from India who scuba dive are actually worshiping the manatee as the sea cow. If you, somebody please get that reference. Anyway,
Sorry,
or
got
not,
lost me there.
or don't. Okay, well, so you know, in India,
Oh, I
Weird.
did. Yes,
and
yes.
so yeah, no, it's not, these jokes are for me, everybody.
No, we're not quick enough. Don't blame yourself. Don't beat yourself up. and
You could
Brendan
be
should be
quick
sharper.
enough, but that doesn't mean it was funny.
We should be
So,
sharper.
just in my own mind, that it had potential and it didn't go where it needed to go.
Yeah.
So, right, but there's something to be said about diets based on sea cow. Do people eat the manatees? Is that in the culture at all? You
I'm
think they
sure.
would be? You think they
Hungry
would have a
people.
lot of meat to them?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe a long time ago,
Yeah.
you know, the Seminole Indians hunted them, but I've never read or seen anything like that. And having lived in Florida for over 20 years, if somebody was eating manatees, I feel like I would have dove into that rabbit hole and learned all about it.
Do you think it's illegal now? Do you think they're protected?
Probably,
Manatees?
yeah.
Oh, they're very much protected. We had
Okay.
a couple of years ago, some lady was like trying to hump one, and she got arrested.
Arrested for humping a manatee?
Yeah.
How does that work with a female trying to hump a manatee?
She was
Well,
lonely.
she was. It was more of a dry humping rub on the back.
Frottage.
A
Yeah.
dry humping rub on the back of the
Do
manatee.
you guys know that dolphins sexually assault women who swim with them? Sometimes they're kind of rapey, dolphins. There's been many accounts of dolphins getting a little too frisky.
Have any of them gone to jail for this?
Well, Aquaman wasn't there to arrest them for
Me too.
underwater crimes. But yeah, I don't think there's underwater sea jail for
They're
them.
like, Eddie the dolphin is in prison with, it wasn't me. I had nothing to do with it. She said it was okay.
I'm from Brooklyn. I'm a dolphin from Brooklyn. Hey, I didn't do it.
He's from Brooklyn, the dolphin.
Well, just by your accent.
Oh,
I didn't was.
I didn't know I had one.
It sounded like the 40s Warner Brothers movie. Hey, I didn't do it.
It wasn't
wasn't
me. It wasn't me. I had
Hey.
nothing. I had nothing. I didn't even know
Yeah,
her.
but dolphin-
Sorry, she was looking pretty sexy, but hey, she shouldn't have dressed that way.
so cheers to this woman for striking back against the Sea Kingdom. Like, hey, we can rub up against you sometime. You think you can do it just to us?
But I think the Sea Kingdom has had more abuse to it than the other way around.
The best part of the story was she was a Florida school teacher.
Okay. Elementary or high school? Middle school?
Middle school, I
Middle
believe.
school. All right, that makes more sense to me. Because I think the middle school teachers probably have to deal with the worst part of a child. Because it's that time when they're going through puberty and moving into high school, and they're like really confused, and I think it would probably drive all middle school teachers to molest sea animals.
I was wondering where
I
you were
can't
heading with
take all
this.
these
Like,
hormones.
how does A get to point C in that story? Oh yeah, obviously you're a junior high teacher. You don't want to hump a manatee. Yeah, it's just gonna happen. Those kids, they drive you crazy.
Yes, I'm glad you could see that, Greg.
You got no choice except to hump a manatee.
It all
What the
works
hell
out.
is it?
If you think it through, it makes sense.
Once
I
again,
just
the
think-
soberest guy
I-
here is the drunkest in his thoughts.
Yeah, I just think she wasn't attractive enough to do any of her students, which is another common thing here in Florida.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. She should have had a makeover.
Right. She was putting like makeup on the manatee, possibly.
Yeah,
Trying to
put a
make it
bag
look
over
better.
its head.
The question is, was the woman gay or not? And then does that affect whenever you're into
A
interspecial
female or male?
interspecial
manatee?
relations? Does that matter? Is that
Good question.
Does it, Greg?
For the jury to
From
ponder.
your experience in the land of circus people,
I don't know about that. Like I always was curious. Like bestiality. Like if you're a gay man, do you not want to have sex with a female dog? Would you be like, it's a female dog? I don't like female.
I don't think it works
Seriously.
like that.
Yeah, I don't think it's so either. I think bestiality is a whole other stripe of like where. Yeah, I don't know.
it's probably best if we dodge that whole subject, really.
Yeah.
So let's go back to interesting.
our client.
So back in Lord Byron apparently credited his thin, pale look to vinegar and water, and that reemerged in the 1950s as the popular apple cider vinegar diet, which has people drink a mixture of equal parts honey and vinegar. And the latest version, which is not scientifically supported, claims that 3 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar will, before each meal, will curb cravings and cut fat, as well as probably cause all of your teeth to turn to dust.
Really?
At the end, because vinegar, after a while, it starts eroding your teeth if you're drinking too much. It also hurts your esophagus as well, because you have all that acid going in. Unless you're falling with like a bar of soap, then that might work. Do
Is
some
honey
apple cider
a base?
vinegar and then bite on a bar of soap, and I think you'll be set.
Do you think maybe honey's a base that would counteract the acidity of the vinegar, or no? Honey's not a base
I don't
enough.
think it's alkaline enough. I don't think
Okay.
honey has that. But maybe I don't know. I don't have the right amount of information in my head to answer that, to be
I,
honest.
teaching fifth grade chemistry to my homeschool kid, I don't think honey's got anything going for it to counteract the acidity of acid.
Well, I'm going
Yeah.
to give you one of the bastard children diets. So this one was called the Last Chance Diet that was done in like 1976, and it was drinking like a very low calorie liquid a few times a day. The main ingredient, and Greg, I think you'll appreciate this, was a blend of pre-digested animal byproducts like hide, horns, and tendons. So this meat
Wow.
soluble was taken off the market after several followers died. So imagine,
So hoof,
I think
hide.
I think
powdered
in
hoof.
'76, I think in '76 that came with a cocaine chaser, right?
It
Yeah,
probably did.
that
I
made it
think
all
maybe
goes
you
down
started
smooth.
with the cocaine and then you finished it with the smoothie.
Yeah.
But yeah, hide, horns, and tendons pre-digested, which implies that
Somebody eat it
someone
before
had
you?
eaten it already and like they took it out of someone's stomach and then made a smoothie out of it. I guess
So
this is like if like a bird was giving you a diet,
Yeah, like a
was
mama bird
doing
feeding its
it for
young,
you.
regurgitating.
what celebrity did that? There was some celebrity that chewed up food and then spit it into her kid's mouth.
Sounds
Ugh.
like something like Gwyneth Paltrow would do.
It was some
Yeah.
female celebrity. It wasn't
Maybe
Jenny McCarthy, was it?
no, I don't think.
Carol Channing?
No, no, it was some recent bitch.
Oh,
Somebody current.
But Greg, if Carol Channing was doing that, how would she sound? Since you brought her up,
I'm not a good
because
imitator.
you kind of sound a little like Carol Channing
Nyan,
anyway.
nyan, 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 nyan. Chomp, chomp, chomp. Yum, yum. Eat up, children, yum. I'm no Rich Little. I can't do that stuff.
Yeah, that's good. You shouldn't be rich enough.
I'd like to ask, though, if we are, I know we're not putting diets on trial, but it does stand to reason that none of them seem to work, or they wouldn't keep making up new ones every 3 years. There's a new one. It's like, I mean, it seems almost scientific. I mean, we're not talking about, psychology is nebulous, we don't know, or things like that, self help.
Well, I think
But
they work. They're
this
just not.
nutrition is a
They don't have
science.
staying power. You know,
Yeah,
a
and I
lot of
guess
them
it
work
just seems like so that why do people just say, oh, we're done with this one, now we're going to do another stupid diet and get into that and buy all
because
the
they keep
books?
hoping it's going to be something that will
That's what it is,
stick
huh?
for people. You
Yeah,
know,
that
there
makes
was
sense.
so there's these two from the early 1900s. One was a businessman who was overweight, made dieting the pop culture phenomenon because he did a chewing diet where recommended chewing food until it became liquid to prevent overeating. And I've heard things like that over the years too. Like the
Yeah,
more you chew your food, that it eliminates a lot of the desire to eat more because you're still chewing for a while, right? I would think that'd be kind of hard on the teeth. And then there was one that was rumored to be popular in the early 1900s was the tapeworm diet. And I thought this was a joke, but theoretically, you would swallow a tapeworm or tapeworm pills. The worm would live in your stomach and then consume some of your food and do what tapeworms do.
that seems like the best diet ever.
Perhaps.
No willpower involved. Eat as much as you want. The tapeworm's going to eat it all
But
in
do you
your gut.
remember there was an episode of Kids in the Hall where they had these guys who lived in a rundown apartment and all they did was eat macaroni and cheese with ketchup every day of their lives. And eventually, what happened is they got known to the macaroni and cheese and ketchup companies, and they came in and they said, "You guys have won a lifetime supply of macaroni and cheese because of your love of macaroni and cheese." They're like, "This is great." And then the ketchup people came in and said, "Because of your desire to have ketchup all the time, you get a lifetime supply of ketchup." And like, "This is fantastic." And the next thing comes in is the tapeworm guy who brings in food for the tapeworms that they've gotten from eating all the macaroni and cheese and ketchup. And then they do a little song, which is let me see if I can remember how the song goes. They go do 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 hey do 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 fattening up my tapeworms. So that was the song.
Do you really get tapeworms from eating too much macaroni and cheese? I just thought you
And
get them.
ketchup. I think it was just a joke that that's something.
Okay.
It's so unhealthy to eat that as every meal,
Yeah.
macaroni and cheese and ketchup. That eventually you would wind up getting tapeworms from that. And so it's good that they got a supply to fatten up the tapeworms with, besides the macaroni and cheese and the ketchup.
By the
But
way, I just checked it out. It was Alicia Silverstone that
Oh,
pre-chews her food
oh,
and then spits it into her kid's mouth.
wow.
the mama
Is
bird
she still doing
diet.
that? Because that could explain why I haven't seen her in a movie in like 20 years.
Um, this
By the
article's from 2012, and her kid was just about a year old, so probably not. I hope not.
Okay. Well, maybe she saved a lot of money on baby food by doing that. Just chewing
Yeah,
it up and spitting it at the kids. The kid's not going to know any better, right? I mean, not until they're older. They'll go, Mom,
But
please
but
don't.
but but
Imagine if
but
the kid's 20 and she's still doing it.
let me
oh man,
suggest a diet I might be into. If Alicia Silverstone came to my house
Uh-huh.
and pre-chewed my food and then spit it into my mouth, oh,
you'd be
maybe,
into that?
You,
maybe.
I don't know that anybody doing that would appeal to me.
Yeah, no matter how hot she is, it's like disgusting. Like, oh,
I,
she's kind of French kissing you,
it's
like
like really, I mean, I
shoving it in
could
your
just
mouth.
eat freaking baby food if I want that.
But what I'm saying is there would be a certain like allure to it, and
It,
there'd be a certain revulsion.
I
Like
think it
some
Allure?
depends on
girls,
how close to your face you would have to get
She,
for you to
she'd have to
appreciate it.
kiss you, basically. Yeah, to
oh
get
yeah,
No,
into
she
your
no,
could
mouth.
no,
drop it from
there'd be,
if he's like on his back, right, and like not able to move, and like her head is specifically positioned so that it goes right into his mouth hole.
But a lot would miss his mouth and fall on
Maybe,
his
maybe
cheek.
not. Depends upon what is it that's getting liquefied. Now, if it's like steak, I think it would probably come out more in chunks and liquefied. But if she's like just doing banana pudding, I think it would be easier.
You
Just
wouldn't even need that for
just
all I'm
banana
squirt
saying.
right
pudding.
into
All
his
I'm saying
face.
is that might hold my interest a little bit more than some of these other diets we've talked about.
Alicia Silverstone. But what if, say, it was Michael Phelps doing it? Would you be okay if he did it?
Maybe,
Okay. All right. So I'm glad
maybe.
you feel similarly towards Michael Phelps as you do
If
towards.
he had a wig on and lipstick.
Well, it just shows that he is not like taking sides. For the
Oh, I
gentleman.
kind of am. I mean, if I had my choice,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but
I think it would be something to be said. It would be definitely a good story to see in the newspaper if you have Michael Phelps chewing his food and spitting it into your face as a news segment on local news, and probably that would go national,
Yeah,
perhaps
definitely.
international. At the very least, it'll go viral on YouTube if you have
It
a
would
good
be
shot of
this,
that.
this just in. Late breaking news on CNN.
Michael Phelps is a bird. We all knew it. Now we've got proof.
well, maybe what it is because I think most birds take turns. So maybe one meal it's Michael Phelps, then it's Alicia Silverstone or some other whatever. You
Wait,
know what I
wait.
mean?
Birds take turns. There's usually just one mama bird.
No, but sometimes there are birds where both mom and dad feed the babies.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like other mother birds came in
No, I'm just
from
saying.
different, like an eagle would come in and feed a sparrow
It takes a
I'm
village.
saying that the
and then eat
mama
the
bird.
sparrow after it fed it.
No, I'm saying the mama bird and the daddy bird in most birds I think take turns.
So one
Okay.
night Beyonce could come to your house and
Did you
feed
say
you. And
Beyonce?
Beyonce. I say Beyonce, I hope.
Beyonce with a lift?
I am from northern Spain, so I have the right to say Beyonce.
Like Barcelona?
Barcelona, I like cilantro in my gazpacho. I like it. But and then the next night it could
When
be
Beyonce throws it?
some other hot actress who I don't even know the names of the hot actresses anymore. That's how old I am. I don't know
It's
who's
Meatloaf is one.
Anne Hathaway, maybe. That's that actress, right?
That's
Who's pretty.
Hathaway, not Hathaway. Hathaway.
Hathaway.
Like,
I am from Barcelona.
you're-
It's Anne Hathaway.
That's right. You know, the
I'm just
correct
saying it
pronunciation.
might feed itself into the idea of the fasting because I probably wouldn't want to do that more than once a day.
Possibly so. I mean,
I could probably vomit it back up.
you
So
don't
it'd be
know.
like
I
It
think
depends
bulimia.
on how
take it.
it depends on who made the food, I think,
A
and what kind of
bulimia
food
diet.
it was.
I'd take it like a man.
As a fat guy when I was younger, I was very sad about that, the whole bulimia thing, where it seems like the perfect solution. And if it didn't have all these harmful side effects, it's like,
Yes.
like the Romans would do
If
that,
it
right?
didn't have all the harmful
I
side
know.
effects, I think is the
But-
key phrase
But the
there.
decadent Romans would just eat till they were full and then just put a stick of feather down their throat or have a slave do it and then
What
they
about the
puke it up.
non decadent Romans?
Yeah, they wouldn't do it as much because they weren't as decadent. Because it's
Okay.
pretty decadent to be like, I want to keep eating, so I'm going to vomit so I can even have more sensual pleasure.
But how many
It's
Romans do you think
unhealthy.
were actually doing that? It's like the
Yeah, just the
serfs
rich ones.
do
Yeah,
it. Okay, the
a
rich ones.
handful of rich guys.
Yeah, so they're
But
puking.
yeah, because most people can't afford to puke up their precious nutrients, you know. But
My question
but
is, and maybe it's just me, do either one of you get that much pleasure out of eating? Like,
yes, I
I
do. I
eat,
love it.
okay, that's cool. I eat because I'm hungry, and I eat because I have to. And sometimes I'll make something that I really enjoy the flavor of, but I've never been someone like I could go all day without eating. In fact, many times I've had people that I work with or my wife like, "Have you eaten today?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I probably should eat." So
Yeah,
I've never
I can
totally
physically.
understood the eating fascination. Although I am overweight for sure, I've never understood the. I think it's mostly because I just eat too much and I eat late, um, and I
What do you
don't.
say?
I
But
can.
if you eat too much, what are you eating too much of, and why would you eat too much of it?
See, I think I eat the wrong kinds of foods. You know what I mean?
Uh
Like,
huh.
um, I don't eat a lot of them.
Like dog biscuits? What are you talking about?
No, not dog biscuits.
That's
Macaroni and
good
cheese and
because that
ketchup.
would be the wrong kind of food. Yeah.
I don't know. It might be the right kind of food. I don't know. Stuff that's, you know, overly calories. I mean, I've been trying to do a better job recently.
Uh huh.
I've sort of plateaued at my weight because I'm not doing it for any other reason than I want to lose weight. And I can't seem to get below where I'm at, which is why I'm like, okay, so I need to exercise, and that's kind of where I'm at now.
I think you should look into the fasting thing, Brendan, because you're already kind of on your way there. If you're going through periods of time where you feel like you're just not eating, you could
Yeah.
just extend that and then just eat whatever, floats your boat at the time whenever you're ready to eat. I mean, but I'd say look into it. Don't trust me on it. Look into it further.
Oh, I'd never trust you for
You should.
many things.
Yeah, I know because I have too many crackpot ideas.
Definitely facial hair
Greg
tips.
has pointed out on numerous occasions.
But I think I could go a whole day. Sometimes I almost forget to eat. Rarely. And it wasn't like, oh, I'm so gnawing. I have this gnawing hunger. To me, it's like I just feel like I've deprived myself a great pleasure. Like every day, everything I eat, I'm like, oh, this is great. This is a great part of being alive. It's getting to eat food that I like,
Yeah, I
and I
like
love
the
it.
act of chewing. I like the flavor of a lot of the things that I eat, especially if I'm using some decent seasoning on it. And plus there's obviously the cultural aspect to having to eating things where you're eating with other people,
Oh yeah,
enjoying the time, like discussing the food that you're eating. Um, but yeah, I mean that's the one thing that is the drawback for me from the fasting is that I like the process of eating. I like the activity of it. I like the choices of it. But what I've enjoyed actually about the fasting part regarding eating is that I'm not as picky anymore about what I'll eat whenever it's time for me to finally eat. Whenever I finally like choose to eat, I'll go, "Oh, I'm willing to put this weird thing on this weird thing and kind of enjoy how it comes across as opposed to going, "Huh, what am I going to eat today?" Instead, it's like, "Oh, I'll take that and that, put that together, eat it, I'll be good." And still enjoy it and still enjoy the flavor of it. It's kind of like I'm making myself eat, even though I could go another day possibly without eating, without there being an issue. And I plan on getting to that point. But yeah, I think to answer your question, I just like eating food. I get
I
pleasure
told
Yeah,
you
out of it.
guys.
and that's
Oh,
cool. I mean, I've just I don't necessarily enjoy the process of eating.
Well,
Like
see,
I'm
live
a
to eat, eat to live. That's what they always say. That's the. Some people eat to live. Some people live to eat.
but at the same time, what's weird is I'm a huge foodie. Like I watch YouTube cooking videos. I find weird shit to make, and I love cooking. And I love,
Mm.
making kind of interesting dishes and eating those. But I'm more into the process of making the food
uh huh.
than I am in the eating of it.
So you don't appreciate the food that you make after you make it?
No, I do. I
Okay.
do. But it's kind of a whole special deal because I went through the whole process. Like if somebody just goes, I don't get up and go, oh God, I gotta, what am I gonna eat? I better eat it's like it's almost like if I haven't like put myself into the food that I'm eating, it's kind of like, oh, whatever. Okay.
I think I was telling you guys last week when I did the 1,000-calorie a day diet, like I'd have a lunch of like low-calorie, shitty white bread with Carl Buddig luncheon meat on it. And it tasted better than any lobster tail or filet mignon that
Unless
you've
you
ever
had lobster tail or filet mignon at that
Well,
time.
I couldn't.
But if
But
you
it
had
was
it,
so
then you would know it would taste better.
satisfying. Like when you're hungry, just the crappiest thing is just exquisite. You're just like every bite, you're like, oh god.
Yeah, I
that's
have
so
found
good.
that. Like when you're hungry, the food for some reason tastes better. You know, I've
Yeah.
learned that about the fasting thing is that I just like the food better, almost no matter what it is. But I haven't tried something nasty yet to decide if that's really the case or not.
Yeah.
But anyway, we've hit a certain time where I think we should talk about where the money is.
Speaking of
Yes.
eating a pizza,
Yes, we're getting pennies closer this week. We're at $2.91.
so I'm gonna starve before this pizza gets to me.
So close to $3.
Just think about fasting as opposed to that. But yeah, it's
I
like
guess I'm gonna
Hey,
Not-
anyone who's listening to this, and who knows they are, if you're listening to this, spread the word. We need 3 more cents for $3. We're close.
What will $3 get me though? Some garlic
oh no, we're
knots?
9 cents. We're 9 cents away from $3.
9 cents. Okay,
Yeah.
9 cents.
We're at $2.91 is where we are.
If 3 people donate 3 cents each, that's what we're asking people. 3. We only want 3 people.
Yeah, the funny thing about the last episode is we had 19 plays like the day after I published it, right? And then listenership just dropped to 0 the next day. And then it was like a little bit higher, 3 plays on one day, 2 plays on another. So it's like it had this really big peak. I think people like listened to it the first day. So maybe we have a solid 18 or 19 listeners, maybe counting us. So it brings us down to like 16.
Yeah.
So for the
I
price
mean,
of a sip of coffee, we could be at $3.
A sip of coffee.
Yeah, for the
a-
price of a
The
sip of
breath
coffee, you
of
could.
smelling coffee as you
9
walk by a
cents.
coffee shop.
Yeah, you could get us to our goal of $3. People.
Exactly. And let's see where people are from. So this week we're at 76% United States, 19% in France, 1% Ireland, less than 1% Canada, Ukraine, Nigeria. But we've added a couple. United Kingdom and Germany also in the lesser than 1% category. So we're becoming strangely international. And maybe it's because they don't really understand English that well, except for in the UK.
So in Germany, not
wait a minute.
Germany.
I'm not understanding the math.
Uh-huh.
How do you have that many less than 1% of a total of 20?
What? What's your question?
So what was the percent of U.S.?
All right, so it's 76% for the U.S.
76, okay.
and then 19% from France. Did we have more or less than France before? Did we have like 15%?
We've gone down in France.
We've gone
I've been
down in
watching the
France.
France thing.
So we've driven away French listeners.
Because of our
I
accents.
think we need to stop doing the funny French accents. So
So
76 and 19
that puts us at
We-
like 94%.
between those two, right?
Yeah. So then Ireland is 1%. So that's 95%. And then the rest of them are all less than 1%. So less than 1% can mean anything to get a full 100%. That's Ukraine, Nigeria, United Kingdom, and Germany.
Right, but how do you have less than 1% of a person?
It's not a person. We aren't talking numbers of people. We're just talking percentage of audience. So
We have
let's
a
say you
Ukrainian
had
arm.
let's say you had 1 million listeners, right?
But let's say we had 20 listeners,
All right.
and we had 95% of 20 is what, give or take?
So you're going based upon actual numbers?
Well, yeah, that's how math. That's how I understand math
How
works.
dare you? Let me see. We have from the last episode an estimated audience of 24.
Okay,
So
Echo.
the
What
one
is
guy
20?
from the
What is
Ukraine
95% of 24?
So maybe it comes down to not
4%.
necessarily a particular listener, but a percentage of time.
Did that answer your question?
Who is that?
It's
I was
a
talking to my
lady.
robot. So 20,
I was like,
23%.
does one answer what my question? We have a new person in the room right now.
It's
Our
Alexa.
special guest, Siri. Or Alexa.
So 95% of 24 is roughly 23.
Okay.
So then we had all these less than 1% of people. So it has to be based on time listened.
Yeah, I would think that makes
Yeah.
more sense.
So a guy
Because
in
it doesn't make any
Ukraine
sense that
listened to it for 5 minutes.
You know, it could be
right,
even less than that number. It's just how Spotify is working out things because it's doing it based on geographic regions, or people are like wandering around listening to it. They're like wandering around Europe and Ukraine.
I'm listening to it in Germany for 10 minutes and then I
Exactly.
tune in Estonia.
Yeah, though that's less than 1% Canada too. I guess I didn't see that one before. Right, we're not Estonia, but Ukraine, Nigeria, United Kingdom, Germany, and Canada
Right.
are the less than 1%. Ireland is the solid 1%. France is solid 19%. U.S. solid 76. Again, we don't know who's listening. If you are listening out there, prove it. Send us an email, qsblawoffices@gmail.com, or go to our Twitter account and say
At
something
QSB
mean to us
Law.
at QSB Law Offices, which is quibble, squabble, and bicker, because that's what we tend to do. All right, so does anybody have anything memorable or fraudulent to say to end this particular episode, this client of diets and their bastard children? Brendan, Greg, anything?
Build the wall.